All right, guys, let me level with you. And you know Uncle Chael only tells the truth. I enjoy some trash talk, but I got no dirt on Brunt. My personal favorites are the Marin and the Omen. And guys, these things are comfortable right out of the box. I'm talking zero break-in, none. And if you got a hard-working guy in your life, a construction guy, a mechanic, a rancher, a weekend warrior, or just a tough dude who likes standing tall, Brunt boots and their whole lineup of killer workwear make perfect gifts. Durable, dependable, and they're actually comfortable. Plus, they're dropping limited edition styles all month long. I'm telling you right now, these are gonna sell out. I don't want you saying I didn't warn you. Built to perform, built to last, and guess what? If they're not right for you, Brunt will stand behind it. You can send them back, no risk. With temperatures dropping and the holidays coming up, treat yourself or the hardworking man in your life to real comfort. You can skip the junk gifts. Get Brunt workwear. Our listeners get $10 off their entire order. Just use the code Chael at checkout. I want you to go to bruntworkwear.com. Use code Chael. Order today, and when they ask, let them know you heard about it right here on the show. Paddy Pimblett trolled Jake Paul. This was great. So Paddy Pimblett sends a gift to Jake Paul. Opens the gift up. It's got a letter. Paddy said, this is for the 7 inches you're complaining about. And he provided him with a stepladder. Okay. First off, that's great work. That's great work by Jake for letting that in, right? I mean, this is a piece of theater. Jake knew what was going to happen, and now he's invoked Paddy. He's worked Paddy into it. It was just a cool move. But height might be the most important thing. It might be. Now, the truth is, when you're shown a tail of the tape, none of them are all that important. The age isn't all that important. And what they weighed is definitely not that important. And then you do reach. Reach is, somewhere along the way, reach came into it. And even though Mike Tyson never enjoyed a reach advantage in his entire career, and many would say is the greatest of all time, it's always made a tail of the tape. But one thing that doesn't get talked about is height. It just doesn't. And there'll even be some tail of the tapes where they put their height, but you'll never hear an announcer go into it. You'll never anybody hear talk, hey, listen, this guy's just not tall enough. You'll never hear that. But it is so important in sport. It is so helpful in sport, but particularly combat. I got a kid. He's one of the best kids I've ever coached. And Hudson's his name, and he's multiple-time champion. Nobody could deal with this guy. The guy beat everybody around for years. 197-pounder, second highest weight that there is. Only other weight class is heavyweight. But Hudson's under 6 feet tall. And the other 97-pounders are 6 feet tall. And it became a huge problem when it was time to get recruited. College recruits were looking at kids that Hudson beat. They were looking at kids that weren't champions. He's a multiple, triple-time champion. And they're looking at other kids. What is going on? And they go, well, he's not tall enough. That was aggravating for me to hear. I will just share with you, as a guy that's been in sport, there's a truth to it. Let me use Johnny Hendricks, for example. When Johnny Hendricks moved up to 185 pounds, it wasn't a size issue that Johnny had against him, right? And Johnny just did not have the same experience. In fact, he had the opposite experience at 185 that he had at 170. At 170, he couldn't lose a fight. He couldn't lose a round. At 185, he couldn't win a fight. He couldn't win a round. But his skills didn't diminish. He didn't have the height. That might be the best example that I could give you in MMA that you would understand right off the bat. Khabib and going up to 170, or even Islam, who did go to 170 and had success. One of the things that was questioned about Islam behind the scenes, is he tall enough? I'm just sharing with you because it was behind the scenes. People weren't talking about it. It's very real, but you guys don't hear about it very much. You ever been in a weight room at the basketball players? and they can't lift anything. Right? I mean, they go over to the bench press. They're struggling with the big wheels. They can't lift anything. They go over to the power clean, and there's just not very much weight there. You could, in theory, be way stronger. But if you grab a hold of that basketball player, he's not going to feel weak at all. And what you're learning in that environment is something called leverage. Leverage is a very big deal, and it is a leverage advantage enjoyed by the longer, lankier, taller athlete. I share that because Jake Paul with Joshua, there's a lot of wrestling that goes on in boxing. A lot. If you guys will remember the night Evander Holyfield beat Mike Tyson the first time. Not the disqualification victory. But a lot of that was blamed. Like when Mike Tyson spoke about it, he said, well, it was the headbutts. The headbutts were cracking me. And that's true. There was a lot of headbutts. There was a lot of clashing, but it was the wrestling. Every time Mike would come in with bombs, Evander would grab him. Every time. Every time Mike would step into those pockets where he did a lot of his damage, Evander would just step forward and grab him. That's it. Nothing else. He didn't slip. He didn't counter. He didn't dig to the body. He didn't come upstairs. It wasn't that. Evander would take a step forward and grab him. He'd hug him. And then when he's hugging him and the ref's trying to break him and trying to get him off, Evander would keep leaning on him. He would keep leaning on him until the ref could get him apart. He'd reach up and he'd grab him by the back of the neck. He'd pull down on his neck just a little bit, a half a second. But then in the next exchange, they'd be there again. And he would do it again. He'd pull on that neck for another half a second. And he would lean on him. You guys might hear that term. I'm going to go lean on a guy. What does that mean? Just that. You're going to grab, and then you're going to lean on him. You're going to make him hold your weight. And you don't have to worry about it in boxing. You're not going to have a lot of it because the referee's going to break it up. It's going to be very incremental. You're going to have a couple of seconds here and a couple of seconds here. But then when the referee tries to break you up and you don't comply, the referee doesn't do anything. It's important that you understand that because in boxing there is so much wrestling. Conor and Floyd had so much wrestling. And it's not allowed. It's against the rules. But the ref will never, I've never seen it in my life, including amateurs. I have never seen the ref do anything other than yell and break it up. And I've seen that ref, that famous ref that's in there, is his last name Steele? But I've seen him in that blue shirt. It's been soaking wet. He was one of the hardest workers. It was having to get in and separate. He was having to separate these monsters all night long. And he was yelling. He was furious. And he was upset. And they're not supposed to do that. But he never did anything. He just broke them up. He broke them up all night long. And Evander wrestled with Mike and out-wrestled Mike. Conor wrestled with Floyd and Conor out-wrestled Floyd. And Joshua is very likely in those instances to out-wrestle Jake, and Joshua's never wrestled, but he can do what we call lean on him. He's going to have that length. He's going to have that leverage. He's going to have that height. So it is a relevant thing. I like that Paddy brought it up, and it went over most people's heads. Most people simply don't care about height, but I'll just let you know, of all of the schematics that you look at, it is probably the most important one. It is probably the most relevant one. You'd spot a guy 10 pounds if he'd spot you 4 inches. You'd spot the guy 3 inches on his reach if he'll spot you 4 inches. And in this case, it's 7. Now, Jake getting to the target, Jake having a body wide open, Jake finding his chin, these things aren't the problem. The problem comes on the in-between, the things that you would never think about in a boxing match. The one thing you will never think about in a boxing match is the wrestling, is the pummeling, is the tie-ups. And I just want to point out why it's a big deal. I want to point out why Paddy thought to make a big deal. Paddy's an expert fighter. He understands these things. He understands the importance to height, over size, over reach, over youth, over experience. Maybe. I wanted you guys to know. I wanted you to appreciate the joke. I thought it was funny. I thought it was a good piece of theater. But there is a relevance to it. And there's nothing that I've ever seen where a guy can make up for that. It's not an issue where I can be quicker than him to make up for. I can be younger than him to make up for. Height is the one you can't deal with. And height, of all the things you see on Tail of the Tape, height is the true advantage.